Easy that makes. Here, let me just go back to it because it just wanted to record now, which I think is very stupid.
The practical application of the wisdom, what you get out of people, seems to be very easy to integrate into life.
Right, so the bar's been set high for you today then, if you start dicking around.
Well, I mean, dicking around is sort of what I do. So the other thing is, like, I kind of get more nervous being myself than being sort of the comedic persona, just being funny. Just being on things, being funny, I find very easy. It's an interesting sort of life lesson, the idea of, like, what do you find easy that other people find difficult. Go for that. Do that for a living.
What you find easy but other people find difficult. For me, I'd say that's trying to record content, but like I am lazy. I'm a sad sack of shit who does not like to record a lot of stuff online, which I need to do more, because if not, then other people will beat me to it, which is the harsh reality of being a content creator at my age, because not a lot of people are doing it, which means I stand out, which means you're watching this video for a certain reason, and that's because I'm going to try to react to the whole entire thing in one sitting. That's going to be my goal for every single day, is trying to react to every single new podcast within one sitting. That's my goal. So it might be 3 hours long, might be that same timeline, but it probably won't be. It'll probably be like 4 hours long. So you're on this journey for one reason only. I'm gonna go refill my water. So
there's going to be money there. There's going to be some gold. You're going to be okay. If you find it easy and everyone else is going, that's impossible. So standing up in front of people being funny, I find very easy. Like these kind of conversations, you slightly second guess yourself.
It's what you're used to, I think. It's what you spend a lot of time becoming acclimatized to doing.
Yeah, I suppose. It's just that thing of, I've always said in comedy, people sort of talk about how many years they've been doing comedy and it seems faintly ridiculous. It's like when you talk to an airline pilot, they've got a really good view on it. They talk about how many hours they've got in the sky. And for me, like, there's no substitute for stage time. And I'm sure for you, there's no substitute for this, but actually doing it, everything else is kind of, it doesn't matter how many years you've had a podcast. I think something about the frequency of your show as well. It's always there. There's always something new.
Try imagining a place where it's always safe and warm. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm.
Taxes was so taxing.
Now taxes is so free. Terrible tax, free edition only. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple form 1040 returns only. Now this is taxes. File for free and get the most money back. Guaranteed.
You talk about the most important question to ask yourself being, what do you want?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about that an awful lot. I studied a lot of, studied and was very interested in sort of NLP. And that question of what do you want in the micro, in the macro, being being the absolute key in sort of life, because people sort of, I suppose it's that thing of going, what does something represent? Someone might. I want a Ferrari. But why? If you sort of dig a little deeper, you can't just ask once, what do you want? Well, I want a Ferrari and a Rolex and all of the trappings. But actually what they want is status.
Status and fame is what people really truly crave for and truly thrive for and truly really want, which I find is hocus pocus bullshit. Because without the money and the status, what are you? Just a man living his life. Man trying to make a living, or just trying to make par or make a way. And that way is through. That way is through it all. And what kills me to notice is that we all go through certain realms of fame or pushing through or doing the things you want to say, which only you can say them. So, and the only way through is through distancing yourself either upon hours and upon hours a day. For me, I'm trying to do one podcast in one sitting, which is pretty difficult for a lot of people like my age because I'm only 20, so it could be very difficult. So I'm just trying to exuberate myself within this, because this moment will hopefully last forever, but we will see. I'm actually going to make myself some tea,
So it's kind of asking yourself, what game are you going to play? I read a lot of that Rene Girard stuff about sort of mimetic desires. So this idea that you've got what you really want at kind of a fundamental level, it's about you, and what you perceive you should have compared to others. So this idea of kind of being honest about what you want and why you want it.
I gotta stop this because it's too good. I will record and I'll talk about all this. So we're gonna make some tea. I'll be back. Let's continue.
Compared, and a lot of that Rene Girard stuff about sort of mimetic desires. So this idea that you've got what you really want at kind of a fundamental level, it's about you and what you perceive you should have compared to others. So this idea
What you think what you should have versus what you perceive what you should have. A lot of people think perception is based around their own opinion. I mean, yes, that is what perception is based around of. But what you think you should have versus what you perceive to have, your thoughts race. Your thoughts go into deep, dark rabbit holes where you don't know where to see fit. And your mind is a weapon. When your mind gets overused as a weapon, then it gets overturned. Which is why when the tables have folded into itself. Which is why I think that's a very good quote. You should not let nomadic desires disown whatever those thoughts are or freedoms will be as. So whatever these poetic desires are, only you can weaponize them. Only you can treat what. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this and it's. Oh, I can't highlight it. But it's how to build real communities. We cried about it on school news. I'm actually curious because how long is it? It's 31 minutes. Oof, that's a long time, Mr. Ovens, to be talking. But yes, let's continue.
Kind of being honest about what you want and why you want it.
Well, splitting apart what is a genuine desire that's come from you, that's been self-authored, and what is just the things that you've taken from the way you dealt with past trauma and what your parents valued and what society says that you should, and the paths of least resistance and your genetic predisposition. This beautiful quote that says, ultimately happiness comes down to choosing between the discomfort of becoming aware of our mental afflictions and the discomfort of becoming ruled by them.
Ruled by them, and is it ruled by how them control them, or
the paths of least resistance and your genetic predisposition. This beautiful quote that says, ultimately happiness comes down to choosing between the discomfort of becoming aware of our mental afflictions and the discomfort of becoming ruled by them.
aware and ruled by them? I was correct. And that's just me listening to this. I mean, I've already listened to this in my ear a few times, but actually reacting to it. Hold on, I need to see how much hot water I have left. Oh, I don't have that much left. Well, gotta save that then. So ruled by them or controlled. Fuck, I forgot about it.
And the paths of least resistance and your genetic predisposition. This beautiful quote that says, ultimately happiness comes down to choosing between the discomfort of becoming aware of our mental afflictions.
Aware and ruled by them. Happiness, I agree with that. Happiness comes down to either being aware or ruled by your mental afflictions, which is either your past trauma or just your past self. Speaking for my family and my line of just what my family has gone through, what my brother has gone through, and what myself has gone through. And that whatever the afflictions are the knowledge of what are you truly trying to obtain, gain, and understand. Those are the three things I want you to obtain, gain, and understand. Which, whatever the happiness is, if it's short-term pleasures or short-term or long-term. And whatever this so-called happiness drug or happiness so-called thing is. Do I need to charge this? Oh, yes, I do. Okay, when I'm speaking to myself. And whatever your happiness you gain from, for me, that's recording and actually talking about things I want to talk about, which this is the top of my priority list, which I can't believe 2 years ago he got 1.4 million views just because of this one YouTube video and 19k likes. I'd expect more out of the like comment section. I'm actually gonna like this. Oh, I thought it would have went up. I'm actually gonna go refill this, so I will be right back.
the discomfort.
Oh, and then happiness. So those 3 pillars, kind of forgot what I was stating. But those 3 pillars, hopefully that those jog your memory of what I'm trying to hope clear up, or just what he is trying to say, is because it's not related on this disorganized or organized realm of thought or realm of actionary steps that will take the lead or the hand that will guide you to predetermined or predestined goals or mentalities. So hopefully that sheds a new light on this so-called view.
Becoming ruled by them. And it's this.
Yeah, it's a lot though, isn't it? I mean, it's like, I don't think anyone gets there. By the way, I think there's slightly. I think sometimes when I hear people kind of interviewed talking about this stuff, there's a sense of, oh well, you know, I'm enlightened now, and I knowing that I only want that thing because you've got that thing, and I want the new iPhone because you've got the new iPhone. Knowing that doesn't really make any difference, because when you're out there in the world, you've still got to live a life and do something.
Correct.
But it's about what that Will Storr book I thought was phenomenal. The Status Game. I mean, all these books are great, actually. He's a really interesting, sort of underrated
outstanding
writer.
writer.
He's wonderful. But that thing of like going, well, actually, you pick what status game you play in. You can have anything. You can't have...
You can have anything, but it depends upon how determined you are, how much fuel you have, and how much things you have left in the tank to speak your mind, or to say on those certain selective things that you can talk about, which are endless. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. It just depends upon how deep they're willing to go and how much rabbit hole is that they will have left in that so-called point of view, or just so-called rabbit hole that you're truly trying to dig yourself into and dig yourself out of. Hopefully that makes sense. Because, I mean, it made sense when I was stating it, so hopefully I shine more light at the end of the tunnel for you guys on this opinion.
Everything. It's that thing of, just the words seem to be very important to me. The idea of saying you can work for anything in life to a kid, as opposed to you can have anything, is the difference between ambition and entitlement, summed up. Is that lovely?
Ambition and entitlement. Oof. I'll give my direct opinion. Ambition is going after one thing, being ambitious for that thing, and getting it, and unlocking it, and unlocking new ways to see that thing, or to understand that thing. And entitlement. Are you entitled to it? Or are you just saying that you are? Are you speaking towards it? Or are you stating that you are entitled? Which nobody's entitled. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Nobody's entitled to what you want to achieve. Understand? So I hope that makes sense.
Thing you sent out the other day.
Yes.
The difference between ambition and entitlement being,
ambition is when you expect yourself to close the gap between what you have and what you want. Entitlement.
Expected to close the gap and to have sorry, mouthful. To expect with what you have, with what you want, versus with what you want, with what you have, is entitlement. I think that's just predestined, but to expect with what you have, which is entitlement, or to achieve. I have to listen to that.
summed up. There's that lovely thing you sent out the other day.
Yes.
The difference between ambition and entitlement being, seeing
Ambition,
what you-
ambition is when you expect yourself to close the gap between what you have and what you want. And
To close the gap with what you want with what you have. Okay, for all we are is time, action, and renewable energy. There's only three things. Which time? What do you waste your time on? 2. What action are you disoriented about? And 3. Renewable energy. Without energy yourself, or just renewable energy, you need things to compound. You need things to last. You need things to actually see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now entitlement is the next one. I'm gonna go put on deodorant because I smell like some straight shit.
entitlement is when you expect others to close the gap between what you have and what you want.
Yeah, that,
When you expect others to close the gap with what you have with what you want. That's good. Good, I like that. But when you expect others to get with what you want and get with what you have, they don't know the story. They don't know the journey. They don't know the hardship. They don't know anything that you went through to get that entitlement. They had no idea until you entitle yourself to yourself, if it's on the internet, or if it's on your job, whatever. Others see the mirror, you see just a reflection. And knowing that there are two ways to a mirror, to a guide, to an understanding. There is only one rule of thumb, which is to destroy your entitlement and be more optimized. Optimization. Optimistic. Without optimization or optimism, you will crash and burn in the gates of hell. What I mean by that is optimism and optimization are two of the same tips of the spear, but they're waiting to be dabbled within. Let's go. We're only 5 minutes into this, and this is going to be a very long video for me. So, let's go.
thing of like agency seems that's very high on my list of like getting back to what do you want.
Yeah.
Agency. I want I want control to be in here. Like
He wants the control to be within himself, but he doesn't see the goals that other people have put within him or put within other people, because goals are without dreams are just goals. And dreams without goals are just dreams. So, know what you want. Attack at it. And don't let anybody else fucking stop you. Attack, don't, and realize. When you realize, you relapse. You go again and again and again until you relapse over and over and over again until you learn that same thing over and over and over again. Which means only one thing and one thing only. That you need to attack, realize, and then relapse. That's why I said realize and relapse, because once you realize, you don't relapse directly after. It takes time to soothe that swelling, to soothe that pain or that struggle. Then once you relapse, you realize. Which relapse comes before realize, but who's putting them at the top 3? I'm just listing them. Let's continue.
It's better to be a stand-up. I mean, the thing I've been thinking about recently is being stoic, doing less better. Being a stand-up is a great job. And there's so many stand-ups that get the job of being a stand-up, and then they want to be an actor. And I go, you're mad. It's not as good a job. It's better to do a podcast than to have a TV show.
Agreed.
Because you're in charge.
I like that. It's better to do a podcast than being on a TV show. You can ramble on a podcast. You can't ramble on a TV show. I think that's the only closer and opener that I need on that one. But yes, you can ramble. Or you can do other stuff, which is by having a TV show.
Yeah. You're your own boss. You're kind of, cancel proof, not that you'd be particularly bothered about that, but the idea of going, you're in charge and you've got agency and you can do what you want.
Well, there's
a huge power to that.
There's a level of narcissism, I think, that comes with believing that you would be able to beat somebody else at them doing one thing while you're doing two things. Okay, so you think that you're going to be a better podcaster than the guy that just does a podcast, whilst trying to do a podcast and run a business and be on TV and fly around the world and do all of these different things.
It's also that thing of like going, if your aim is sort of happiness, I think having a process-driven ambition rather than an outcome-driven ambition.
Yeah, because if you have outcomes, then you will get nowhere within your ambitions or your dreams or your goals or your aspirations, is what he's implying. So having goals, having mindset, or not mindset, but checkpoints. Without those checkpoints and mindset stance, you will, like I said earlier, attack, relapse, and realize. Those 3 things. I could come up with 10 right now if I really wanted to, but I'd rather not waste my time.
Like, what do you want to do rather than what you want to be? So that idea of going, look, you do a podcast and you live for it. It seems to be pretty much all you care about, and you're loving it, and you kind of embody that, and it gets back to that Naval thing of like, what's play for you? What's easy for you? What's play? What's fun? No one's going to put this effort in.
What's easy is hard for some people. What is difficult may become easy for you if you take time to do the things you want to do and say the things you want to say. For me, I want to be a podcaster like he is. That's my main end goal. I'd love to be in the top 10, but if you're only in the top 100, you won't be in the top 10. What I mean by that is without the top 100, you're just a number on the scale. A pressure point waiting to be pressured. An understanding waiting to be set upon. A perspective waiting to be dealt. The hand that you've been playing.
Look around, look at the 4K cameras or whatever. No one's putting this effort in that doesn't really care about it. So someone trying to fake it and go, well, I want what he's getting for that. I want the ad revenue. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're playing in the wrong game.
There's a really great quote from Mark Manson where he talks about the most important question to ask yourself is what pain are you willing to endure in your life, rather than
What pain are you willing to endure in your life? For me, that's taking the time, actually sitting down in one sitting, recording a video on a podcast, which I know a lot about, which means that is the pain. That's the agony. That's the excruciating hell that I'm putting myself through, because I know nobody else will do it better than me, which means I only have one chance to do this. When I was given multiple chances to do this. So what pain are you willing to endure? But what pain are you willing to endure? Because without pain, there is no progress. Without pain, there's no potential. Without pain, there is no algorithm. Without pain, there is no potential aspects of whatever the hell you're truly trying to accomplish. Now I will be right back. Let's get back to it.
than what pleasure do you want? Because any pleasure or any pursuit that you want is going to come with an in-kind payment of pain.
Well,
even your stuff, the fatigue, the road, everything else.
But that thing of like, the all self-help is hard choices now, easy life later. Everything is the marshmallow.
Hard choices now, easy life not later. Well, I'm stuttering. The way I look at it is that without the hard choices, you will get nowhere. You won't become the better version. You won't be that version of yourself because you are too afraid of the hard choices now. Which is why hard choices now and easy life later is how I like to live my life, is that without the hard choices, you will get nowhere. You won't get to the end. You won't get to point B or point Alpha, point 2, whatever you call your so-called life choices.
Test. Everything is about saying, look, that famous marshmallow test of give a kid, you can have one marshmallow now or two later. That seems to be a really good indicator in life of going, what are you willing to, and work is the sacrifice for later. And it's really about that time frame. Probably the biggest thing I got from this show and from following you was that idea of serving yourself in 24 hours. You have to serve someone. What are you going to do today that you tomorrow will appreciate? Because there's something about a day seems about the right time frame. Like if it's in 6 months' time and you're trying to go to the gym and motivate yourself by, I'm going to look great in 6 months, it's like, I don't know if you're going to do that. I don't think that's a motivator, because
it's written on my fridge. What would you tomorrow want you today to do? It's written on my fridge.
It's a great, I think there's a book in that. I think genuinely, I think it's such a powerful.
You've got me writing. You have told me to write 5 different books over the last week that we've spent together.
But I like the idea of that thing of going, because it's you listen to a podcast, but the book and the course seems to be the thing that it's just a way of getting all of your thoughts on this together.
It's not going to be.
Yeah. But I think that idea of like what are you going to do that's going to make you happy in 24 hours? And that's really about saying, well, your ambitions should be feelings, not things.
What's the difference?
Well, the idea that you go, well, how do I want to feel is something that you go, well, that's an ambition you can have. I want to feel happy. I want to feel contented. I want to feel healthy. I want to feel fulfilled. Wanting those things, wanting material things. Well, the reason you want the material thing is to give you the feeling. So just cut out the middleman. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's easy for me to say. I'm rich and famous, baby. It's, it's like
Well,
it's slightly that thing of like where you're calling from, but you just realize there's just more stuff.
over dinner, you spoke about the difference between jealousy and envy. And I thought that was really interesting.
Well, I think that it's a conception where I don't really mind which word you use, but envy for me is good because it tells you what you want. So if you see someone and they've got a terrific physique and you go, oh, I want to look like that guy, that tells you what you want. That's great. When you see someone with a beautiful girl and you don't want him to have it, but you don't want it, that strikes me that as a very that's kind of bitterness and resentment, and it's mean, and it's that I think it's a Nietzsche quote, isn't it? If you resentment is when you think someone has ruined your life, and there is someone that's ruined your life. It's you. So it's really, I find that very powerful.
But that's the agentic frame again, right? That you're taking control of that when you realize that it is you that's been in control of most of the things that have gone on. That's taking agency. That's taking responsibility.
But I think that we're sort of set up not to do that, right? We're set up and as the economy changes, as our world changes, I think the idea.
Cat.
Have a good night. Have fun.
I will. You too.
All right. I'll see you probably when I get home. So.
Sounds good.
All right. I love you, bud.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll see you later.
Getting a job is a little bit, becomes slightly nanny state. It's like, well, I'll get a job and they'll pay me, and then they'll worry about that, and I'll just do this job for them. And it's like this idea of like new jobs are happening all the time. It feels like there's a new economy kind of sprouting up. People are doing their own thing. It feels like it's not just comedians. I mean, obviously, I'm very bought into the being a stand-up comedian world, but people are doing their own thing. It's lovely.
Yeah, I wonder, talking about the skill acquisition thing, obviously the pace that you tour at, how many shows have you done this year so far?
220, something like that.
And there's probably been about 250 to 280 days so far this year?
Yeah, something like that. But I make TV shows as well, so, I keep busy. But it's, but really if you compare it to someone with a real job, it's not that much work, because the way that I perceive it is I work for 2 hours or 4 hours a night, depending on how many shows, and most people work 8 hours. Now there's a bit of travel involved and stuff, but it's a pleasure. If you find something you love doing, you never work again. That's the
Well, I suppose if you look at, that's such a good frame to say, wow, 250 days of the year or 220 days of the year, and there's only been 280 days or whatever. Okay, well, if you were to roll that forward for any normal 9-to-5 person, that's probably the right number of days, or maybe even a little bit less. And there's something about taking a working class spit and sawdust mentality into the realm where it doesn't seem like it's supposed to be there, where you actually end up seeing disproportionate returns.
Yeah, I suppose it's that thing of like it's really about what you're willing to put in as well. Like if you find something that you love doing, well, why would you want to stop doing that?
Why would you want to stop doing it? I mean, the only reason why I stopped because I wasn't getting the progress or the potential or the grasp that I was getting, which I was gaining maybe 1 to 3 views, maybe a video. So if you enjoyed this, please share it. If not, it'll be down in the shits.
Just do more of that, and you get better. It is that thing where you go, it's time in the gym. It seems that stress is very good for us in all areas. Going to the gym is stressing your body, and working and coming up with new stuff is, you're stressing yourself. So that thing of like trying new stuff at every show. It's only you saw the show the other night. It's only a 5-minute bit where I get out a bit of paper and try some new jokes. Mm-hmm. But that bit means that the next tour is very easy. Because 5 minutes at every show, you sort of bank a lot of stuff, or bank a lot of new ideas, and you have a reason to think about the new thing, always. You have a reason to be thinking about, okay, what's the new thing, what's the new thing, what's a new idea for a joke, what am I going to try tonight?
Well, that's a big hack, I think. It's the Feynman technique. In order to be able to learn it, you must first be able to teach it type thing. But there's an equivalent when it comes to personal growth as well, I think, which is the best way to ensure that you're going to continue to develop is to have an outlet where it's going to be scrutinized by other people. Like, so much of the learning and the reading and the stuff that I do is exclusively because I know that I need to be remotely interesting or prepared for the next guest that comes on.
Well, it is that thing where you go, the joy of stand-up comedy, the feedback loop is, it's so quick. I mean, people just immediately, and an audience, Lenny Bruce first said it, the audience is a genius. They know immediately, that's funny, that's not funny, that's acceptable, that's not acceptable. They make the call on all that stuff. So you're just like presenting stuff and going, is that okay? Is that all right? I mean, it's really easy because you write, I've written so many more jokes that don't work than you. So many more, like thousands more.
It's that Edison thing about, I haven't failed, I just found 10,000 ways that I wasn't successful.
Yeah, but you eventually get to it, and then you go, well, what's the stand-up comedian kind of superpower? It's an hour. Maybe 90 minutes if you go and see a live show, because there's better stuff as well. But putting together specials, and you go, right, that's kind of the best of me of the last 18 months. That's all the funny stuff I said in the last 18 months, and that's there for you. I think it's more relevant than music. I think music's incredibly important and should be taught more in schools. But I think stand-up should be a course in schools. If you think about what it's about verbal dexterity, right? And it's about being able to express yourself. And it's about finding your voice and expressing who you are. And it's a perspective on life where you're seeing the lighter side and trying to find fun in something. There's two stories. One story is about a guy shitting himself on a train, and it's like, I had the worst day ever. And then there's some perspective where you go, that's the funniest story I've ever heard. There's something about the ability of a comedian to kind of shift perspectives. And for me, comedy has a function in society that no one is calling, which is we're pushing the Overton window. We're always at the edge of what is and what isn't acceptable. Like, no, I'm not just talking about like, I happen to tell edgy jokes. That's not what this is. I'm seeing things as they are, but kind of with new eyes. That's sort of what comics do. Even the most kind of mainstream observational comedy, if done well, you're sort of questioning the reality. You're saying, well, this is not normal. This is not how things should be. This is weird. Am I the only one thinking this? Is it just me? That kind of trope of comedy. And it pushes what we think about the world. It pushes what's acceptable. It's progressive.
You said that comedians are often ahead of the curve on social issues.
I think they are. I think like comedians really do kind of, it's the canary in the mine. It's the sort of testing the air of what you can say. And, politics lags behind.
And so does culture. If you want to know what are going to be the biggest talking points amongst normal people in about 18 months' time, look at the jokes that comedians are making today.
Well, I think there's a argument to be said that comedy lives in sort of a space between public and private discourse. And it strikes me that there's never been a wider gap between public and private discourse. What people are saying in bars and homes and on social media to their friends, and what the party line. The party line's pretty strong at the moment on what you can and what you can't say. If you want to see where power really lives, what can't you say? It's interesting, right? What can't you say in a society, and what isn't acceptable in the world? And you get into very interesting topics. I mean, all the stuff you talk about on Modern Wisdom falls into that sort of category of going, well, should we talk about this? You talk about, whether it's environmentalism or gender or what's happening in the world. It's very interesting to kind of call that and to mess around with it. So it's kind of a great space. And comedy, it sugars the pill as well. It's almost the perfect drug for me, stand-up comedy, because it's the dopamine hit if you don't quite know where the line is going to come, and it's the serotonin pleasure of laughter. And going out to a live show has that incredible sort of effect on people of it's a physical response. I've said it before. I think of myself as a drug dealer, but you have the drugs on you.
That's so nice.
You've got everything on you, but I'm able to sort of tease it out so I can get across borders with no problem. It's interesting, isn't it? It's like the best drug in the world. What's the best drug in the world?
I would love to know what the hormonal cascade of someone listening to a great podcast is feeling. I'm going to guess that there would be a good chunk of serotonin and maybe some dopamine from I've realized something, or here's two ideas that I didn't see before, and they've been tied together and they've been wrapped up in a bow. And
What's interesting, the dopamine thing, the thing that we were discussing the other day that I found very interesting was like the idea that you could go, if you had one data point on someone, their view on abortion, let's say, what else could you figure out from that?
Correct.
You know, so the modern day, I suppose it would be modern day cold reading. Right?
Yeah.
So if, you know, old school cold reading was, you know, someone at a seance going, has anyone lost a Mary in Catholic Ireland? I mean, fucking throw a stone. But the idea is kind of modern day cold reading on what do you think about Brexit? Someone tells you and you go, I know everything that I need to know about you from that one data point. So with podcasts, the thing is, it's about the dopamine of going, when does someone surprise you with their view?
Dude, so after our conversation, we went for dinner on Thursday, and then I wrote my newsletter based off of the inspiration from that. Such a good way to judge whether or not the content creator that you are listening to is acting genuinely and taking their insights from what they truly are interested in and being honest, is when was the last time that they surprised you with something that they said?
Yeah. But the honesty is really interesting because it's weird being a comic because everything I say on stage is a lie. Ultimately, jokes are little lies. But comics leak. There's a weird thing, you can watch someone on stage or watch, you know, your favorite comic or whatever, and you kind of have a sense of who they are. It just happens. You don't really choose your style as a comic. It kind of chooses you. It's who you are. It's kind of an interesting thing.
Caricature of the self.
Well, not even a caricature. I think there's something about it's very authentic. And there's something about podcasting, especially the long form shows, you can't hide. There's nowhere for you to hide. So the thing that I found kind of fascinating about your journey, and my only critique of your show is that I don't think you ever talk about yourself enough, because you're fabulous at listening and teasing things out of people and holding a space, but you never really talk about your journey. And maybe you did in the very early episodes and I missed them, but the idea of like go from a guy on Love Island running clubs to this strikes me as you talk about agency. You basically kind of invented a job that didn't really exist, wasn't really a thing. Mm-hmm. And now, of course, it is, and, everyone's got a podcast, but not like this.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess, whenever I sit down with someone, for a long time when you start a show, you're riding on the coattails of whoever is in front of you. I'm riding on the coattails of Rory Sutherland or Jordan Peterson or Douglas Murray or whoever. And then I'm always really interested in just making the show an amazing platform and trampoline for the guest. If I walk away with the guest shining as much as possible, that's a good day at the office for me. I made this as energetic or sedate or thoughtful or exciting or whatever as needed to be to get the best insights out of this spectacular person who's very interesting and I want to learn from. That's a good day at the office. And it always inevitably puts me in the back seat. But that's how I designed it, right? I designed it to not be, it's not called The Chris Williamson Show, right? It's called Modern Wisdom, because I want it to be the most interesting people, the smartest thinkers on the planet. What have they got to say? Life is hard and this show should help. That's where it is. That being said, I know that after a while, sort of the cult of personality starts to kick in and you think, oh, well, people actually want now not just to know about them, but to know about you. I've got this fucking live show happening where it's me on stage for nearly 2 hours, just me.
Yeah,
that's
how's that? How are you finding because you did the first one on Saturday, right?
I had a dry run, assisted by some words of wisdom from you the night before. It was good. I really enjoyed it. Scary. I don't know how you guys do it.
What do you mean? You just did it.
But it's different. What I do is I just get to waffle. What you have to do is this unbelievably 0% fat, lean, down to the nothing but muscle fucking bodybuilder presentation up on stage.
I don't know. I think it's what are people looking for really? I mean, with laughter, they're looking for it's a response you can kind of measure. You can look at laughs per minute and go, well, you're doing a great job because you're getting the last minute. But ultimately, they're coming out to be part of a crowd. They could watch it at home on Netflix, but they're coming out to see a show because they want to feel connected. What are you offering? Connection. People want to feel connected, and you're standing on stage and you're saying, well, you're giving of yourself. Here's what I learned. Here's what I think, and hopefully they feel Like they're with like-minded people. They're in a room.
Collective effervescence, I think.
Well, it's tribal, isn't it? It's that idea that there's an illusion that we're individuals. I really like that line. There's no such thing as a baby. It's always a baby and someone caring for the baby. It's a baby and a mother, baby and a father, baby and a family. Babies don't exist on their own. We're all babies. We all takes a village. If you look around behind the cameras at the other people that are just in the room right now, never mind the other people that work on the podcast, the idea that a stand-up is standing on stage on his own, it's an illusion. It's a very pleasing illusion because we're in our heads a lot of the time. But we are searching for community in a space where that's sort of been lost. The idea that we've never been more connected and never felt more alienated.
Well,
because it's about the depth of the connection.
In other news, this episode is brought to you by Epidemic Sound. If you have ever tried to put sound effects or music behind any video, you will know just how hard it is to do. Epidemic Sound has over 90,000 sound effects plus a vast music library that will avoid any copyright concerns. Your videos are not going to get demonetized or infringe on someone's copyright, which happens all the time if you're not using a professional library. All of their tracks are professionally produced by a diverse collection of artists and are exclusive to the platform. If you've ever been wondering how your favorite creators take their videos to the next level, a lot of it comes with sound design, and that is the sound library selection they have access to. So many of them are using Epidemic Sound, and you can join them for free for 30 days by clicking the link in the description below or going to share.epidemicsound.com/modernwisdom. And if you cancel within that 30 days, you can still keep all of the sounds that you've used during your trial period. That's share.epidemicsound.com/mod.
Style and substance in the GMC Sierra. Or get a total value of over $8,000 on the Sierra 1500 model.
Still dealing with moderate to severe ulcerative colitis symptoms despite treatment? Put them in check with Rinvoq. Rinvoq works differently, and it's a once-daily pill.
When symptoms tried to take control, I got rapid relief and left back emergency behind with Rinvoq. Check.
When my doctor saw damage, Rinvoq helped visibly repair my colon lining. Check. And I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
Rapid symptom relief.
Visible repair of the colon lining and lasting steroid-free remission. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin, serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. See the event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events, infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Put UC in check and keep it there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Modern wisdom. We spoke the other night about the problems of the self. You have a problem, or there are many problems that are associated with this obsession with the self and the rise of the individual.
Well, I think that's it strikes me that it's if you look at different communities around the world, you can sort of see where there's certain communities where the self is sacrosanct, and there's other places where not so much. It's much more tribal. I mean, it's kind of an interesting thought. My favorite quote of all time is William Gibson. The future is here, but it's not evenly distributed. And you think, oh, wow, yeah, of course.
What does that mean to you?
Well, it means that there's a utopia in the world. I'm a very positive person. I mean, I really do think the world is great and we're going to crack it. I think we may have already solved most of the problems in the world, but in just particular areas. Right, so so you go to Portugal, let's say, go to Lisbon now, and the drug laws changed 15 years ago. They legalized all drugs, said all drugs are legal, and we're going to take all the money we were spending on fighting the war on drugs, which we're just patently losing. We're going to take all that money and we're going to spend it on rehabs, and we're going to spend it on education, and we're going to spend it on making it easier for people to make good choices. Great, and it worked. You walk around Lisbon now, one of the safest cities in Europe. It's magnificent. It's buzzing. It's fabulous. And you go, that's a brilliant idea. Why don't we just take that and do that here? It seems to work. Because the alternative, and people sort of go, yeah, but drugs aren't good. And drugs. I agree. I don't do drugs. It's not my thing. And some people have got real issues around them, but you go, but what we're doing at the moment isn't working, and that seems to work. And then you'll always have a very small percentage of people that have, real problems, and that's fine. But at least if you know those people aren't criminalized, then they don't. Most petty crime is drug related. So that's a problem that's been fixed. We could just take that. I think the energy crisis has been solved, but only on nuclear submarines. Nuclear submarines strike me as that's there. Why is no one talking about these? People are living in tubes with a nuclear reactor. They have been for 50 years. We've tested it. And those guys seem fine.
Self-sustaining, much worse environment than we've got up here, where we can breathe water and we don't need to recirculate the carbon dioxide.
And it's working, right? There you go. I'm with Extinction Rebellion. I think there is an environmental crisis. It's awful. But I don't think the person that solves the problem is, I don't think we say in 50 years' time, we came pretty close there to an environmental collapse. But thankfully, someone glued themselves to the top of a car. That did it. I think it's going to be a physicist that does it, right? It's going to be a scientist that has a wonderful idea and does something. So it's that thing, if you care about that, where should you be putting your energy? And I think it comes back to where's the agency? So that, gluing yourself to the top of a car is great. It's saying, look, this is important, something needs to be done. I don't think any politician has the vision to do it. I don't think it gets solved through a law. I think it gets solved through science and technology. And I read David Deutsch's The Beginning of Infinity, and was just blown away by, what if we're the first 100 billion people? That's how many people have lived, right? 100 billion. I'm including us in that.
Yeah.
And it could be trillions in the future.
Yeah.
If we get this right. It's exciting, right? And the idea that science is this particular meme that can, we've got this AI technology which people seem scared about. And you go, well, maybe this is going to be the solution. People are worried about nuclear catastrophe. Well, we've already priced in the downside, right? We've priced in nuclear war. That's already a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Why not take the upside?
Did you read William McCaskill's What We Owe the Future? Did you see that?
No, but I heard people talking about it. I haven't got around to reading it. Is it good?
Interesting guy, good. It's an important book, I think, to read, especially if you think about these topics in a big way.
Well, that idea of like people are important temporally and spatially.
Yes.
So the idea that we're quite obsessed with us in the West, America,
Us right
Western
now,
Europe.
in our village, in our community.
What do we owe the future is a very good question. What do we owe the rest of the world? Because the idea that the environmental problem could be solved by doing less and cutting back, and maybe if we live like we lived in 1985, that could cure things, I don't think is, the population's out of control. I don't see any volunteers.
Have you heard Peter Singer's thought experiment about the drowning child? This explains the distance thing that you were talking about very nicely.
Yeah.
So you're walking down the street and you see a drowning child in the river that's next to you.
It does sound like a setup for a joke, doesn't it? It sounds like the kind of thing I would go. So, I'm walking down the street. So there's a drowning child in a river. Okay.
That's the start. Yeah,
Okay.
Peter Singer's a nice, softly spoken Australian man in his late 70s. I don't think that he was meaning it as the setup to a joke. But feel free to take it for tonight.
Okay.
If you were to walk past and not save the child, you would be seen as abhorrent, right? The fucking drowning child, you're the only person that's around here. Why would you not go into the river and go and save this kid? Okay, now...
Some kids are dicks. I mean, let's call it.
The world's better off.
Do I know this kid?
No.
Is it baby Hitler?
No. Why would it be baby Hitler?
I don't know.
Thought experiment. Go to Hitler.
Okay, so go on. What's the...
Basically, he continues to use the distance of you. Okay, now the river's 100 yards away. Now it's 300 yards away. Now it's half a mile away. Now it's a mile away. And the point is, at which distance does the drowning child become less important to you? And the argument kind of is that there's no distance. It becomes an arbitrary decision. If you would save the child that was there now, you would save the child that is on the other side of the planet, starving of whatever.
It's that you get to that. I think quite quickly to that. What is it? Best things first. Is is it Bjorn Lomborg book?
Oh,
about like the idea the UN has got 148 things that they want to do. These are our priorities. And you go, well, you don't have any priorities then, because there's a lot of things. What are the things that we should do now that make a difference? So the simple stuff like mosquito nets really does makes a huge difference.
Well, that's
what do you do? Because you go, well, you value, your life much more than you value someone's life in. It's interesting what we're not talking about. Like, no one talks about what's going on in Venezuela. No one seems that bothered about Venezuela at the moment.